Hello, everyone. And today we discuss federal district judges continue to challenge executive authority. So, welcome, everyone. I know this seems, and it is. I posted that a similar title about 6 weeks ago when this immediately began, let's say 2 weeks into President Trump's term. So, no, it was probably, around the first week of February, I began discussing this phenomenon where local federal district judges are attempting to make decisions to where their judgments that are supposed to be held to whatever local district that they're in, they're trying to make it nationwide. And this is unprecedented because, in general, trying to place injunctions that take years. And the reason why the judges are attempting to do this is because the Supreme Court only takes a few cases per year, maybe 8 cases. So by the president executing his decisions and then the Democrats getting private citizens to organize and under different organizations file lawsuits, what they're doing is taking it and they're always shopping around to California. And it seems like New York and Washington, D.C. It appears to where the majority of these cases are filed. So they're clearly judge shopping. They're looking for an Obama appointed judge and to file this case with. And these federal district judges they only jurisdict over a small area, and they are attempting to place injunctions on all of these decisions. There's around 165 cases nationwide that have been filed. And we have judges attempting there. And so 15 injunctions have been placed against President Trump, whether it's blocking his decisions with USAID, Social Security, now his interpretation of illegal immigration. And they're trying to place injunctions into where the president has to take it to the appeals court. Then from the appeals court, it goes up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court can choose whether or not. And the Supreme Court is only taking 8 cases a year. They're not doing much. They're very lazy. And so what that does is it ties up everything for years. So they indirectly stop the president from doing whatever his policy decision was. And they have no authority to do this. These federal district judges are making decisions. Whatever decision they make are supposed to be local decisions to the district in which they preside over, not nationwide decisions. So if President Trump decides to go to deport people identified with Venezuelan gang, Trinde de Nicaragua, whatever it is, Trinde Aragua. Okay, I figured part of it out. Trinde Aragua. And he identifies people in Colorado. And he decides to deport these people and first put them somewhere, hold them up, and then ship them out. And whoever law firm, which is a Democratic leaning law firm, decides to represent them, they filed the case in the District of Columbia, but the person has been apprehended in Colorado or Texas. And they don't file it in Texas. They don't file it in Republican states. They go shop around the country for an Obama appointed judge to file the case with. And this is happening in Colorado or Texas or Mississippi, and they decide to go file it in New York or Washington, D.C. The judge is effectively trying to, and so it's not even over a district. Like if the action is taking place in Texas, how are they filing the lawsuit in the District of Columbia or the state of New York? Which they don't have any jurisdiction over the state of Texas or Mississippi, but that's how it's being done. And then the judges are placing injunctions, and they're in the District of Columbia placing an injunction on an action that took place by ICE in Texas or Mississippi or Florida. And so they're overstepping their jurisdiction. It's like a police officer from California making a decision to go into the state of Texas to apprehend a person wanted in the state of California for a crime. And let's give a scenario. A person legitimately commits a crime, or allegedly. A person, because until they're guilty, they didn't do it. So a person is physically in California and is alleged to have committed crime, but they later go to the state of Texas. In the state of California, contacts Texas and says, this person is wanted for a hit and run. Well, the state of Texas is not obligated to have that person transferred to the state of California. Therefore, a police officer, let's say in San Francisco County, travels to the state of Texas, identifies the person is staying at a certain location, apprehends and arrests that person in the state of Texas, and takes them back to California, either by flight, however they do it, vehicle transportation. That California sheriff or police officer doesn't have jurisdiction in Texas. So under the Texas law, that California sheriff or police officer has committed a state crime of kidnapping a person and usurping the authority of the state of Texas. And this is the same thing. If ICE is apprehending a person in the state of Arizona and is transporting them to a different state where they have been held until it's determined what to do with them, ship them to their country, trying to identify what country they're from, ship them to another country. And Democrats who are sympathizers then go to a law firm that's Democratic leaning, Trump hating, and they file a lawsuit to protect that person in a different state. So this is happening in Arizona. The person's now been shipped to a federal prison in South Dakota and is being held until they determine what to do. And a lawyer in the District of Columbia decides to represent this person who's now being held in South Dakota and looks for an Obama-appointed judge and files the lawsuit to challenge that deportation in the District of Columbia. The District of Columbia judge has no jurisdiction over what occurred in Arizona by ICE and has no authority to demand that a person being held in South Dakota in a federal prison be released. So this is outright ridiculous, and it should be an easy thing. But as we see, these district judges, these federal district judges, are reinterpreting the law in their understanding of what their jurisdiction is in the interpretation of the law. And they're outright challenging the authority of the executive branch, which they don't even have the right to do. A federal district judge is really presiding over federal crimes that occur in their district, not a person or entity filing suit against the executive branch And now it's the local federal district judge is trying to say, it's my authority to determine whether the executive branch, the White House, the president, committed a federal crime. This is outright ridiculous. And what I don't appreciate is the fact that Congress, the Republicans and the Democrats, have not spoken out loudly in saying we need to deal with these federal district judges on a federal level. Like, we need to indict these federal, forget impeaching. No, these federal district judges need to be indicted because they are overstepping their authority. And that is why President Trump should ignore all of their decisions, all of their injunctions, until they can prove. And it's now on the head of Justice Roberts, who I believe is compromised. I believe Chief Justice Roberts is a compromised man, and that's why his decisions are very questionable. And he needs to be removed from the Supreme Court, and he needs to retire. That's the first thing I believe, that AG Pam Bondi, President Trump, and Congress need to get together, and they need to remove Chief Justice Roberts from the Supreme Court. That's the first thing that needs to occur, and it needs to occur now. And then secondly, in addition to that, the Supreme Court needs to outright clarify to the lower federal district judges what their authority is, and clearly define their authority is limited to their jurisdiction, and it does not extend to overruling decisions made by the executive branch, because that's the core of what's happening. And now it's a political, and now federal district judges are playing politics, and they're appointed bureaucrats. And now they are playing politics, which no attorney general, district attorney, local judge, federal judge, none of these people, anybody in the judicial branch should not be playing politics. But now we see it playing out. So it'll be, I believe overall President Trump is going to win. I believe that President Trump is going to continue to execute whatever his plans are. And it's now the federal district judges that are threatening him. It's up to them to prove that they have the authority that they claim they have. Like, President Trump doesn't have to respect any of their decisions. And so to Bozo, Judge Bozo, and everything, it's time for you to go pound sand. And that's what President Trump needs to tell all of these federal district judges, including the Supreme Court. It's time for all of you to go, just like Andrew Jackson did. You need to all go pound sand. So with that, I'm out of here. I'm looking for April to come, and it's coming up next week. And I believe the first week of April is when we will have more information on crypto plans and where the economy is going. I believe right now we're just in a political distraction with the judicial branch that should be worked out. Next week, President Trump should begin unrolling the red carpet on what some of his proposed economic stimulus plans are. So with that, we're out of here. Thank you for being here. I do expect more federal district judges to attempt to challenge and usurp President Trump's authority. And I also expect President Trump to meet them where they are and steamroll these judges and put them in their place. So with that, we're out of here. And remember, the future is crypto.